Guys, couple things. We are nearing the due date for our research project, our poetry research project. So I thought it was important to sort of go over some of the poetry in-text citations and how to cite the poems and how titles of poems should show in your research paper. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, and I haven't done it already, is go ahead and set my paper up in MLA format. I'm going to do this for you just in case you haven't done it in a while and maybe need a refresher. Very quickly, I'm going to hit Insert. Go on down to header and page number, scroll on over, page number, and I'm going to select the one in the upper left quadrant. I'll go ahead and select that, move the cursor over, and simply type my last name. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and skip on down to our actual document and set up our header in MLA format. Student's name, teacher's name, class. Oh my goodness. And date. Then I'm going to go ahead and center align and add our title. And hit enter and go ahead and align left to get it back to where we're supposed to be. And we are good to go. Now, this is not in MLA format because our text is not double spaced. Your text does need to be double spaced. I prefer to write single space and then change it all at the end. Regardless of how you wish to do it, if you simply highlight your text, go ahead and go up to format, skip on down to line spacing, and select double. That will change your text from single to double spaced. I am not going to do that, but I did want you to see just how to do it. Now, for citing poetry, there are a couple things that we need to know. Number one, whenever we cite the title of our poem, we need to make sure that it is in quotation marks. So, for example, in the poem, Song in the Front Yard. Right? So for in the poem, A Song in the Front Yard, we make sure that we have it in quotation marks. That is how we cite our titles of our poems. Okay? So in the poem, A Song in the Front Yard, comma, I'm going to put the comma inside the quotation mark. Gwendolyn Brooks writes, comma, quotation mark, and we start our citation. I've stayed in the front yard all my life. I want a peek at the back. Stayed in the front yard all my life. I want to peek at the back where it's rough and untended and a hungry weed grows. So that is our line from the text. And as you can see, it is 3 lines from the poem. Since we are using less than 4 lines, we can include it right in our sentence. We don't have to make it a block quote, which I'll talk about in 1 second. And to separate or to indicate to the reader that we are looking at separate lines of poetry, we have backslashes. So after the period, we hit a space, backslash, and then a space again to indicate that there is a new line of poetry coming. This is important to indicate since a lot of poems rely on form and structure to develop meaning. So for each line of poetry, each new line of poetry, we include a space, backslash, space, and then begin our next line. Now, since we have already indicated our author, our poet, to the reader, when we cite our line, we simply write 1 through 3. Okay? And that is how we cite our line of poetry. Now, if we are going to go ahead and cite more than 3 lines of poetry, we are going to change the way we do this. We're going to make it a block quote. So instead of including it in our actual sentence, the way we have, we're going to hit enter. We're going to make each of these lines a new line. I'm going to go ahead and add a line here at the end. make it more of, or to make it 4 lines, I'm sorry. Now we have lines 1 through 4. Once again, we've already indicated that our poet is one of the books, so we do not need to include her in our citation. But since we are doing a block quote, what we need to do is then highlight our text, go ahead and go up to Format, Align and Indent, and go to Indentation Options. For our left indent, we want to make it 1 inch. Okay, so we've already highlighted our text. We've gone to Format, Indentation Options, changed our left indent to 1 inch, and then click Apply. We'll see it moves over here to sort of 1 inch to the page. And this simply indicates to the reader that this is a block quote and is an excerpt that is longer than 3 lines or 4 lines or longer. And that is why we include that's why we use a block quote. Okay. Hopefully this has been helpful. If there's anything that I can do to assist or to make this a little bit clearer, to help you in any way, please let me know. Send me an email, leave a comment. Don't forget that this is due next week, and hopefully we are all well on our way.